Hi, my name is Sakir Philpott and I'm reflecting on my session with Claire as a part of my assessment with AIPC. So, reflecting on the session with Claire overall, I think it was quite a good, purposeful, intentional session. Contracting was smooth. I could have done a little bit more to just sort of make her comfortable around the counselling, what counselling was all about. I could have taken a few more seconds or a minute or so on that, I feel. The main goal was to support her in her decision about whether or not to go back to work and after being a stay-at-home mum. I do feel that we were able to gauge meaningfully in the process, and by the end of the session, Claire had started to think through some of the factors of influencing her decision, which was good. One of the strengths of the session, I think, was maintaining a focused session and focusing on the issue and allowing her to talk, although I did still jump in a bit. I didn't allow enough space or silence in between considering options and giving her time to think. So I really do need to work on slowing that down a bit. Claire appeared to be willing to engage in the conversation, and I think there was enough trust there to allow her to be present and exploring the different parts of the decisions that she was trying to make. And I think I was a bit more client-centered in terms of being really focused on Claire and what she was saying. But I still need that slow down and don't jump in. Allow there to be space in between the discussions, the comments, the things Claire's saying. Allow her to ruminate, I guess, a little bit. And part of that was my intention to try and keep the session focused and on track and moving through. But, allowing her to settle and be in her, be silent and think about things is central to maintaining a client-centered approach. In terms of the decision-making process, I felt that was pretty good. Claire was able to identify some of the pros and cons. She was also able to identify that there was an emotional component to the decision-making and a practical component to the decision-making. So we were able to explore the different aspects of that and then bring that back together overall. And I tried to keep working with her to come to her own conclusions rather than providing them with her. But that being said, I'm not really sure that I was able to maximize the full depth of that exploration. I think we covered a lot in this session, and it's certainly better than other sessions. But I didn't really get Claire to articulate why. A part of it was the emotional, and we did get to that, but I don't feel like we got to the bottom of that. But looking forward, one of the practicalities of my development is being more intentional, slowing down the pacing, being able to use silence better, which is sort of interesting to me because at home, in my home communities, we use silence all the time, and silence is waiting in silence is probably a key factor for discussions and community discussions. So it's interesting that for me, in a one-on-one situation, allowing there to be silence, and certainly in counselling sessions that with the young people I work with currently, I think it's still an issue. So it's just something that I think I need to keep reflecting on and working on. I think it's probably related to that goal-orientated thing, whereas often community discussions, while there's issues to discuss, there is no set goal. And therefore, maybe it feels like there's more space. So one of the things I think I will continue to do is work on those areas in working with young people and also in my counselling practice. I think Claire was able to come to her decision and felt comfortable with her decision at the end of this session. And I think she was able to identify some supports and identify the particular issues that were important to her overall. So, and we were also able to close off the session, identify that, you know, next session we talk about how she's gone with all of that kind of, with the next steps. And I was able to articulate that with her, although it was a little bit clumsy, could have done with some more work. And probably my summing up could have done with a bit more clarity as well, I think, overall. Thanks. Bye.